The current ceasefire deal in Gaza has just expired, and negotiations for the next stage are in stalemate due to Hamas rejecting the U.S. proposal for the agreement. Israel has halted all aid from entering the Gaza Strip and is doing all they can to pressure Hamas into a deal to release the rest of the hostages. If Hamas stalls much longer, Israel is preparing to resume full-scale war against Hamas. A report just dropped saying that Israel is preparing a massive offensive operation that would frankly open up the gates of hell on Hamas. Stay tuned, I'm Josiah Hilton, and this is the Israel Guys. Israel has just announced that they accepted U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal to extend the temporary ceasefire for 50 days. Now, according to this proposal, on the first day of the framework, half of the living hostages and the bodies of the fallen will be released. By the end of the framework, if an agreement on a permanent ceasefire in Gaza is reached, the remaining living hostages and the bodies of those deceased will also be released. Witkoff proposed extending the ceasefire after assessing that at this stage, there's no real possibility of bridging the gaps between both of the parties to end the war, and that more time is needed for negotiations on a permanent ceasefire. Now, Israel agreed to this proposal, but Hamas, surprise, surprise, rejected it outright. Hamas spokesperson Hazem Qassem said, quote, "There is an agreement that has 3 stages, and entering into negotiations on the second stage on the 16th day after the agreement began, and we are committed to that. Whoever is interested in releasing the Israeli hostages must force Israel to enter into negotiations on the second stage. Through its proposal to extend the first stage, Israel is trying to return the situation to zero and return its hostages without a commitment not to return to fighting." This is Hamas's attempt to dictate the terms for the next agreement, or the next stage of the ceasefire agreement, you could say. Because after the first stage of the ceasefire deal, there was no agreement on the second stage by Israel or Hamas, as the Hamas spokesperson is claiming. The agreement was that there would be negotiations after the expiration of the first ceasefire deal, which they agreed on. There would be negotiations on what the second phase even looked like. The truth is, Israel is trying to return its hostages without a commitment not to return to fighting, because returning to fighting in Gaza until Hamas is destroyed is what Israel needs to do to protect their citizens from future attacks by Hamas. And frankly, this is one of the biggest reasons that Hamas took hostages in the first place on October 7th, was so that they could have bargaining chips to save their existence and end Israel's war to root out Hamas. Despite Hamas's rejection of the ceasefire proposal, Israeli officials have expressed a willingness to allow negotiations a few more days, but have emphasized that this period will not be indefinite. They have stated that if negotiations do not progress in good faith, Israel is prepared to resume military operations in Gaza. This position underscores Israel's urgency in resolving the hostage situation and its readiness to take decisive action if necessary. The Israeli government also just approved the extension of its reservist mobilization order, raising the cap from 320,000 to 400,000 troops, meaning that Israel can issue an additional 80,000 mobilization orders for its reservists at a moment's notice, should they be needed to re-enter the Gaza Strip and resume the fighting. We'll be right back with the rest of the show in just 1 second, but first, with the challenges Israel is facing, I want to share with you a way you could strengthen Jewish families on the front lines of the battle for the land. Blessed by Israel is a company that brings the amazing products of families in the biblical heartland of Israel to people around the world like you. From Israel to your doorstep, enjoy awesome products like coffee roasted to perfection by Agro Cafe, several kinds of delicious honey, jewelry, organic spices, and much, much more, all from wonderful, small, family-owned businesses in Israel's biblical heartland, many whom we are familiar with here at the Israel Guys. Be a part of encouraging and investing in the people of Israel and enjoy high-quality products at the same time. Head over to blessedbyisrael.com to purchase beautiful boutique products and make your impact today. If you use the code INVEST for $5 off your first order at blessedbyisrael.com, or just click the link in the description below. Sunday morning, following the expiration of the ceasefire, Israel announced the suspension of all humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip and the closure of border crossings. Spokesman Omer Dostri said, quote, "No trucks entered Gaza this morning, nor will they at this stage. Truck convoys currently seen en route to Gaza are reaching the crossing only to find it closed with no entry permitted." This is because of Hamas's exploitation of the humanitarian aid sent into Gaza for terrorist activities and of controlling supplies meant for the civilian population of Gaza. This move by Israel aims to pressure Hamas into compliance regarding hostage negotiations. So far, the White House has expressed support for Israel's decision, indicating coordination between the two allies on this matter in particular. Several reports confirm that Israel is preparing for a major military offensive in Gaza within the next 4 to 6 weeks. According to these reports, incoming Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir has been developing a new plan of battle at the request of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz. Zamir believes previous plans were not strong enough, so this new strategy will involve a huge deployment of IDF troops, potentially up to 50,000 soldiers going in at once. Before launching the full-scale ground assault, Israel plans to relocate civilians to designated humanitarian buffer zones. Then the offensive will begin with intense airstrikes, followed by a coordinated ground attack aimed at decisively eliminating Hamas. Brigadier General Amir Avivi stated that Israel will use every tool to achieve victory and fully neutralize Hamas. As part of this strategy, released in these reports, humanitarian aid to Gaza will be restricted and only allowed in those humanitarian zones to prevent Hamas from stealing supplies, something they've been doing since October 7th. Incoming Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir is expected to present this finalized plan to Netanyahu and to Defense Minister Katz next Thursday. Netanyahu has already hinted at this operational plan, saying, "We are ready to return to intensive fighting at any moment." Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich declared, "When we are ready, we will open the gates of hell again on Hamas." This time, Israel expects greater backing from the U.S. than it had in 2024. The Trump administration has approved the release of weapons that were previously held up by the Biden administration and has given Israel a green light to take whatever actions necessary to remove Hamas as a threat. It seems that Israel is very, very close to resuming a full-scale military offensive against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. This time around, though, could be the end for Hamas. On Saturday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that he signed a declaration to expedite the delivery of approximately $4 billion in military assistance to Israel. Rubio said, quote, "The Trump administration, which took office on January 20th, has approved nearly $12 billion in foreign military sales to Israel and will continue to use all available tools to fulfill America's long-standing commitment to Israel's security, including means to counter security threats." Now, this will allow Israel to replenish their supply of weapons and ammunition, giving them the means to defend their citizens and take care of threats as they arise. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to buy products from Blessed by Israel and get $5 off your first order with special coupon code INVEST. Link for all that is in the description below. Subscribe and get the conversation going down in the comments below. As always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what is happening in Israel. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys.